The colors of history. How colors shape the world.
Blues.
Blues. The color of the sea and the sky. Shades of blue have been part of art for thousands of years. Considered cold and calm, compared to fiery red. Blue is the color of trust, excellence, and performance in business. Blue is also associated with Satan and is sometimes used to represent ghosts in Japanese kabuki theater. In Thailand, blue is the color of Friday, with light blue being considered lucky.
Flowers.
Blues.
Indigo.
Indigo. Persian blue. Egyptian blue. Ultramarine. Bold.
Ultramarine.
The color of coal.
Indigo.
Indigo. Known as Naila in India, meaning dark blue. Natural indigo comes from plants which grow and Asia in Asia as well as South and Central America. When left to rot and then mixed with liquid, the plant's green-blue leaves would turn coarse and the yarn yellow. Then, after being exposed to air, they turn blue. Blue planet indigo proved very popular worldwide. Indigo has been found in ancient Egyptian tombs and in historic Japanese art, while the oldest known indigo object is a piece of dyed cotton cut from Peru, which is over 6,000 years old. When the boy becomes a man among the Tuareg peoples of North Africa, he is given a precious indigo headscarf called a tassel must to protect him against heat and sandstorm in the desert. The indigo trade of the Portuguese explorer Vasco de Portuguese explorer Vasco de Gama discovered a sea route from Europe to Asia in the 1490s. A great trade in indigo began. India was the century of production, but plantations also sprang up in the New World, the Americas, to fulfill demand. I make no doubt, indigo will prove a very valuable commodity in time. Genius. Indigo was used to color a type of cloth in the French city of Nimes. It was called serge de Nimes, which over time was simplified to denim. Strauss and Jacob Davis began fashioning it into hard-wearing work clothes for miners and cowboys in America's Wild West. This caught on, and the $1 billion industry was born. The word jeans comes from the French word for people from Genoa in Italy, where another cloth was produced, also created using indigo. An accidental color, Prussian blue. When in the early 18th century, Berlin-based paint maker Johann Diesbach was trying to make a rich pigment called Florentine like. But something went wrong, and this due of iron sulfate, potash, and crust cochineal insects resulted in a purple color which boiled down to a rich dark blue. Blue is the color that is best posited over the result and the trait as back to the potters he had used, which had been contaminated with animal blood. His new blue pigment proved of a cheaper alternative to also expensive the ocean marine. In German-speaking countries, it was known as Berlin blue, but elsewhere it became more known as Prussian blue, because Berlin was the capital of Prussia, and the dye was later used to color Prussian army uniforms. Paint and ink. Prussian blue mixed well with other colors and was used by many artists, including Van Gogh and Picasso. When the color was exported to Japan in the 19th century, it caused a sensation. The color was used heavily by famous woodblock print artists such as Sushika Hokusai, who used it for the color of the sea. It was also used to produce black and blue printing inks. Blueprints. More than a century after its discovery, the chemist and astronomer John Herschel invented an early form of photocopying by plunging light-sensitive paper into a bath of Prussian blue. Architects and engineers could draw one set of plans on tracing the paper and quickly make copies. The lines drawn on the tracing paper kept light from traveling through, but the blank spots let light reach the copy paper below. The paper then turned blue, leaving a copy of the drawing in white. These copies were called blueprints. The color of the Nile. Egyptian blue. Egyptian blue. The ancient Roman city of Pompeii, undisturbed for over 1,600 years after being buried in a volcanic eruption in 79. When it was finally uncovered, one of the first artificial colors was discovered, and the series was ending paintballs. It was named after its inventors, the ancient Egyptians. The color of the heavens. Blue was an incredibly important color to the ancient Egyptians. It was the color of the sky and of the river Nile, upon which the Egyptians depended for water, fish, and transport. Blue was associated with the gods, the universe, and creation. The only problem was that the Egyptians had access to a few blue pigments apart from lapis lazuli, which was rare and expensive. Sophisticated system. Around 4,600 years ago, the Egyptians worked out how to make a pigment out of rocks and minerals, quartz sand, copper, and other materials were all heated together at temperatures, usually 850, 950, for several days. This new color proved incredibly long-lasting, and it could be made lighter in color by grinding it down into a fine powder. Scribes and scribes in ancient Egypt kept records of harvests, taxes, and other government business on papyrus scrolls. They bought using brushes made from white dipped in Egyptian blue. The color was also used as a sunny glaze on objects such as jewelry, often featuring the Garab beetle, which was thought to ward off evil. Blue baboons, in the terms of Egyptians, pharaohs and nobles, the walls were covered with smooth plaster. Artists painted sun scenes on them, often featuring Egyptian blue. For instance, 12 Egyptian blue baboon monkeys graced the most famous tomb of all, that of the young pharaoh, 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 Tutankhamun, Tutankhamun. They represent the 12 hours it was believed it would take the dead pharaoh to travel to the afterlife.
Ultra.
A color made from gemstones, ultramarine, the deepest and the most vivid of blues.
Ultramarine.
Ultramarine is made from ground down lapis lazuli. This semi-precious stone has decorated the coffins and death masks of ancient Egyptian pharaohs, such as King Tutankhamun. Beyond the seas, ultramarine gets its name from the Latin for beyond the seas. During the Renaissance, Renaissance, lapis lazuli had to come all the way from Afghanistan to Europe, carried overland by donkeys and then shipped across the Mediterranean Sea. That then had to be ground down. Mixed with wax, pan resin, and oils before being heated and kneaded for hours, like bread dough. All this added up to make ultramarine at least 100 times the price of other paint colors. Artist angst. Despite its expense, some customers insisted on ultramarine. In Europe, it's called the deep blue robes worn by the Virgin in religious paintings. Artists often had to haggle with their clients over how much of the color they could use. The Dutch painter Johannes Vermeer used ultramarine heavily to produce some extraordinary paintings. Even though he had to take out loans to cover the costs. When he died, his family were left heavy in debt. Prize-winning paint in 1824, an industrial organization in France offered a huge reward for anyone who could develop an artificial ultramarine. French chemist Jean Baptiste won the prize, and this synthetic ultramarine is not used as an affordable art color. Impressionist painters including Renoir and Monet and 20th century artists like Vz. Klein worked heavily with synthetic ultramarine. Klein had liked it so much that he developed his own ultramarine shade, now known as IKB, International Klein Blue. Trias. Beautiful. and the most perfect beyond all other colors. The bird of battle. Wald, a plant called wald grows throughout Europe. Its pretty yellow flowers bloom in fields and meadows, but its crushed leaves make a strong blue dye. It was used to color clothes, and some people, such as Dutch in ancient Britain, applied it as a war paint. World Rage. In 60, large parts of England were under the rule of the ancient Romance Queen Boudica of the Iceni tribe. Led a fierce rebellion in eastern England. She is said to have daubed her face with wood before going into battle. Our other thoughts covered their bodies in wood, possibly because it acts as an antiseptic. So, it may have helped prevent infections in wounds. Bandicus was won several important battles before he was finally defeated by the Romans. The Britons dye their bodies with woad, which produces a blue color, and this gives them a more terrifying appearance in battle. Navy blue. Centuries after Boudica's death, what continued to be made in similar ways. Leaves were harvested, ground down, and formed into balls, which were left for 2 or 3 months. Water was added to help the wood ferment. When it was ready, the wood would be dried and sold to clothes dyers before the arrival of indigo. It was the main colorant available in Europe. So, it was used by many people, including the Anglo-Saxons, Franks, Vandals, and the Vikings. Blue gold in the Middle Ages, producing, and dyeing with wood formed a huge, profitable industry. It made Coventry one of the largest cities in Britain, and the wood merchants became very wealthy and powerful. When Indigo's see pages 43 threatened wood's dominance. It was denounced as the devil's dye in 1669. The French king protected the wood industry by sentencing to death anyone who was caught using indigo.